First of all, it's a little bit sorry that Luis Carlos couldn't come because he's the main worker on this project in a way in Cuba. But it is rather difficult to get a visa in time. First of all, there was a misunderstanding that Ireland was also a Schengen. That would not be a problem, but without being a Schengen country, it took more than 2 months to get a visa, and the bureaucracy in Cuba is also renowned, so he couldn't make it. But as the Flemish counterpartner in the Video OS project, OS is standing for the Flemish University Board and North-South cooperation. I will try to replace him and try to explain as much as possible about what's happening in this project, and specifically about repositories. So it's a little bit still cracked, the walls in Cuba, but in the end we will. It is completely changing the last year, so this will also be fixed in the near future. What are we going to talk about? About the project itself, about the actual status of institutional repositories, and about future developments. So, the network Cuba is a Video OS project, and Video OS is standing for, as I already said, the Flemish University Board and the North-South cooperation. We have a lot of projects in Africa, but also in Latin America, and Cuba is one of the target countries of Video OS. It's always about long-term projects, and here we talk about a 12-year program, and specifically a network project involving different universities in Cuba. You see the names there: Camagüey, Joaquín, Pinar del Rio, UCI, the University of Computer Science, UCLV, and Oriented, and Minister of Higher Education, of course. You do nothing without the consent of the higher powers in Cuba, of course. So this Cuban network includes 3 projects. There is one specifically about ICT research, where the local universities, in cooperation with the local universities, some sandwich PhD are set up specifically about ICT research. Also, there is another project in the program about the enhancement of infrastructure, setting up main servers to manage huge data projects and such things like that. Now, the project where the repository development is a part of it is the last one, when we talk about supporting the educational processes and the knowledge management in higher education. What is in fact the goal? And it's a much larger goal than simply setting up a network of repositories. It's in fact to create a sort of virtual educational and research network. And there are, in the start, 4 parts were well defined about developing a virtual education network, an information management system, more library system, and repository. Also, because English is the lingua franca for research, it is important that there is also some English language training involved. Now, also, one of the important aspects is that the project, and supported by the Ministry of Higher Education, chooses for open source solutions. And it's about Moodle, Space, ABCD as a library platform, and Vivo. That's something that we added to the starting goals of the project, of not only repositories but research information management. And what we also think that it is important to develop an integrated approach. And authority systems are central in that solution. It means that DSpace, and that was one of the choices, was chosen as to manage the research output, but that it is in a way included in a global program. And now to make learning environments talk with research platforms, with research output platforms, with also the general information environment. We were looking at authority systems. Vivo could be, for example, be used to define people, to define organizations, but at the same time we want also to define content. And we were looking at authority systems, and this should be used again in the different platforms, and specifically in this space. That's a little bit the background of what Louis is doing specifically on this space. Also, first of all, he wants to explain a bit about the situation now and about further developments. Okay. When we look at OpenROAR and also at the open door databases, you only see a few, 8 sometimes. Yesterday there were 10, but overlapping repositories. And it's in the first place 0, which is an important partner in Cuba, more about the publications of articles, and in that way it's not completely a repository like the other ones. Now, the network itself is distributed a bit over the whole country. We have 6 universities participating, and each of them will set up a repository in their own university, but also will play a role for the region. In Cuba, we talk about 90 universities. So the 6 that we have are only representative for what is happening. Also, Havana is not the biggest, but just that was the reason why we choose another one in that region, because otherwise it would push away all the other ones. So they will set up their repository, and they are busy with that, and there was a need to come to an agreement to have a global approach. And one of the agreements was to use DSpace, and at that time in the beginning it was version 4, now we are talking about 5, and 6 is in the pipeline, I understand. And there will be 7 in a little bit more than a year, I understand. Now, as you have seen, that we were talking about authority systems, about specific content, we extended in fact the basic metadata format. One of the limitations of DSpace is that it is still in fact based on the Dublin Core qualified. And okay, that we want to extend anyway, to have also more refined metadata. and to use as much as possible unique identifiers. That the authors will be uniquely identified, that you can reuse the information and link it to information in the Moodle, in the Vivo, and such things like that. Another aspect is the standardization of the community and the collection structure. I don't think that's that much important, but okay, let's say we're working on that. And simply using a deposit policy and who can access information and such things like that, which is always a huge discussion in a country like Cuba, where they say we will use open source, we are for open access, but at the same time, openness, that's something that Louis would not have told, I'm sure of that, but that's my comment on it. So, okay, these are all the work on standards and agreements, and also there is a lot of work on this space itself. First of all, based on the GSP version, a Spanish interface has been created, a specific Cuban interface, and besides that, and besides that, different models are also in development. Because I have also a presentation later in the DSpace group, I will not really go deeply in all of them. But at the same time, it is starting up such a network, such an installation of repositories in the different universities is not only a technical problem, it's also a problem of information to the users and such things like that. Therefore, this training models, this training approach is strongly developed. At the moment, the DSpace 5 is installed at 6 universities, and some are already available on the internet. Some are only available on the local university network. Still, because there is still the discussion about openness and such things like that. Registration will be done in different services, and besides that, UCI, as I said, is a university of computer science, but is also very much focused on software development. Most of the software development for the government, even for the army, is done at UCI. So there is a lot of knowledge anyway on that level. And so, for example, we have a team of, at the moment, 6 developers simply working on these pieces. So what they already have done in the past was creating these tools. And I give you a quick show that in DSpace 5 you can have a bibliographic reference system, a recommendation, an extra recommendation tool they made, also a certification tool. Maybe a little bit of explanation about that. It's more, in fact, a tool to create a list of publications specifically, and that's in the Cuban context important, where it is also a certification document for what the author is doing, for what the researcher is doing. But in that way, it is something that is combining listing and also some presentation, and in my opinion can also be used in other ways too. If someone wants to create his own bibliographic references and such things like that in another way, it can be used for that. Also, there is a report tool, and this is while the other developments are in this space. This is an external report tool that uses the solar indexes, and in that way And one of the special things is that it can use different solar indexes at the same time and create, in fact, reports from different, from a group of repositories, for example. But there is still work on that. So, besides that, these are guidelines that they are following now at the moment to establish a mandate, to inform and to work with authors and editors in the first place about the model of open access, the establishing of policies about intellectual property, usage, quality, digital preservation standards, and so on. And also define the typology of publication documents. Now, future developments. First of all, one of the logic steps is when you have all these different repositories to have a sort of overview of what the project is doing. Now, a metadata harvester can be the solution, as well as a central Vivo installation where also all the publications can be integrated. The solutions on that level, I think I understood on the short term, they're really going for a classic metadata harvester to present what is already available. Besides that, as I already said, DSpace is a building stone in that Cuban Virtual University Network. And what we see is that it is very important to use these authority systems to make DSpace that it can interact and that it can interact with the other systems. So we will. Other people are working on authority systems, and there is at the moment a discussion internally about using Cosmos or working further on their own system. They started already 2-3 years ago on Autoritas, which is a sort of virtuoso server where vocabularies, I think about agrovoc, mesh, C is, what is it, CCS from the computer science, CSS computer science vocabulary, all type of vocabularies which can be translated to SCOS can be integrated, and because it's a virtuoso server, also can be request through SparkQL can be launched to it. And in that way, we need in a way a rich submission interface which uses this authority system, but also can easily extract information, for example, out of the document itself. A group is, for example, at the moment looking at the possibilities of using tools like Tika, Grobit, to extract metadata and to integrate it in such an interface. While after that, if you have, for example, a DOI, you link it to Crossref and you get extra information, and in that way you get already good information, but you don't have the authority information. Still, it has to be linked to that. And there, the role of this authority system is becoming important. For DSpace, we will look at the REST API with extended functions, because the REST API will make it possible that what will be collected as information in this submission interface can be sent, but other interactions are at the moment rather difficult. For example, getting information about the right management in DSpace. So, these are, in fact, the general conclusions that open access is a necessity to achieve the visibility of the scientific output. And there is a lot of work on promotional and capacity enhancing actions on open access in the in the country, because like everywhere, researchers, we think that researchers sometimes are the first people who are interested in open access, but sometimes it's not the case. In many cases it's not true. So these repositories are developed in this larger context of the virtual network for research and education, where also in the future we hope to create extra functionalities, also through, in fact, a linked open data approach. And then it seems that we are a sort of driving force behind open access in Cuba. Now, in Cuba they are very strong in keeping systems alive. For example, their old cars, and they have a lot of work on it to keep that. So, but in the end, they're still running, and that's one of the fantastic things. But they do it always with a little bit of swing, I should say more salsa in Cuba. So you will find all the information about the project, and also the first developments will be on the Git available. So thank you. If you have more, if you need more information about the general project, I can give more information about it, about the developments at UC. And again, sorry that Luis Carlos could not come here. He could have been given a better presentation about what is really happening.